Hi, in this video, we're going to discuss all about announcements. I am actually going to use a class that I actually built and am currently beta testing for our students to talk about my best practices when it comes to communication and collaboration. So in this class, when we talk about announcements, this is the easiest way for us to broadcast message to our students. I always put the announcements right here at the very top of my left-hand toolbar because I think it's the easiest way for students. They come in, they can click on announcements, and they can see exactly what is happening that week. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my announcements that I sent out this semester. And what you're going to see is First Accounting Club. I think there are three main purposes for announcements. Number one, to send out any pertinent information that Triton College needs to relate to students. Number two, anything that has to do with you specifically, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be available this weekend. I'll be out of town. Please send me your questions prior to Friday at 3:00, or sending your students information about the class. So for example, this is before the semester started. I sent out students information about the accounting club. There were some jobs on campus I sent them information for. And then one of the best practices that I do is in all my online classes, I send them an announcement to the class. I open the class a few days earlier than when the class actually starts. And I then send them this welcome email. And basically in the email, it says, hey, just so you know, class is starting on Monday. I wanted to send you this information so that you can go and check out the syllabus, sort of get around in the class and get used to it. Here's my email address, and so forth, giving them the expectations. But the main reason that I do this is because when I first started teaching online classes and I would open the class on the Monday that the class started, I would be chasing students, or at least I felt I was chasing students for the first week or two to get them kind of rolling in the class. So when I started doing this, I was able to have time prior to the class starting to answer questions that students had, so that when they did start, they could start the class, right away. Also, if students went in and noticed that it was too much of a workload, they weren't going to be able to stay up with the work and so forth, they'd also have the opportunity to withdraw from the class and get the 100% tuition reimbursement versus starting the class and then withdrawing later. So I go through and give them this email, and then on the day of class starting, which is always usually a Monday, I send them out another welcome, just a welcome again, giving them again another opportunity, or another opportunity for myself, I should say, to give them my expectations again. Class is 8 to 10 hours. It's, everything's due at 11:59 on Sundays. Here are your homework assignments. And so again, what I do in my classes, best practice, is every Monday, I wake up and I send them an email with Triton College's pertinent information, any information about myself that week, or any information, or their class assignments that are due that week, so that they can plan their Monday and the rest of their week in their time management. Another thing that I have done that I use announcement for here's an example, is Connect assignments. In this specific announcement, there was a mistake done in Connect. I was able to fix it, and I sent out the message as a broad message, hey, the Connect assignment is fixed. And the reason I did that is because many times if there's a mistake in the class, the student will contact me and say, hey, Mrs. Reyes, it seems this due date is wrong. And then I immediately can email them back and say, I will fix it right now. I go in, I fix it, and then I send a broad message. And the reason that I do that is because I do know that there are students out there that if the due date is wrong or they can't get into an assignment, they just assume that the assignment isn't due or that they missed it or whatever the case. So I want to make sure that students are completely aware that, yes, there was a mistake, the mistake has been finished, so that they can go back and complete that assignment. And then the last best practice announcement that I do is at the very end of the semester. I send a message, it's right here, that says, "Great job, class." I tell them that when I'm going to be submitting their grades to Triton. And the reason that I do that in an online class specifically is because if you're using textbook materials for assignments, and like mine, for example, we use McGraw-Hill Connect assignments in the business department. So if they do a homework assignment and that those points don't transfer over into Blackboard, I need to manually go in and enter those points. I'm a human. I make mistakes. And so I make sure that the students understand, please go in, make sure I didn't make a mistake or that I didn't miss a grade that should have transferred over. Even though I do a manual check, I just want to make sure that they're double checking before I submit that grade to Triton. So I do that. And then the last thing I do is I provide them with the classes that I will be teaching that next semester. In this case, because it was the spring, I was able to give them my summer classes as well as my fall classes. It does a couple of things. Number one, tells your students, hey, go and register for summer and fall because they're open. And number two, if you like the way I taught or you want to take a face-to-face class with me, here's what they are. So again, that's another best practice. So one of the things that I want to show you when it comes to announcements is, I know you all know how to make an announcement, but I want to show you how easy it really truly is and why it's important to really start the practice of sending out a weekly announcement, especially showing them what their assignments are. So if you go into any of my classes and I go to course information, if I go into course material, and let's choose Unit 4. And I go into my unit, what you're going to see at the very top, and if this was student view, this would be the first thing that would pop up. The student always sees exactly what is due that specific week. Nothing changes. It's right there. But because I always go in on a Monday and make my announcement, I come into that week's unit. I can Control C. I go to my announcement. I click Create Announcement. I type weekly information and assignments, hi class, whatever information that I want to tell the class. Then I press Control V, and there are their assignments. I didn't have to type them. I didn't have to go into my syllabus and pull them. I just could copy and paste and stick them straight into the announcement. Now, the reason that I think this is a best practice is for a couple reasons. Number one, the student now has seen their assignments for the week 3 times in the syllabus, in the actual unit, and now in the announcement. I've never had a student come back and tell me that they don't know what that week's assignments are because they have 3 opportunities on that Monday, the day that that unit opens, to see what is due that week. The second reason that I like to make sure that this information is copied and pasted is you'll see that I have YouTube videos and things that are in my specific assignments. If a student has, there's a death in the family and they have to go to a funeral and they contact me prior and they say, hey, Mrs. Reyes, I'm not going to be able to get my assignments in. Can I have an extension? I'm able to say to them, absolutely, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go and to your syllabus or announcements, I need you to pull the assignments and I need you to email them to me. And the reason that that's important is because I do not want I want my units to open and close, open on a Monday, close at Sunday at 11:59. If I go back and reopen that unit, that then allows the student that was not on task doing their homework to then have an opportunity to go in and complete assignments that should have been completed that previous week. So this, again, allows students easy access to the assignments, but keeping everybody on track of what's due when. So then once I do that, the other thing that I think is really important if you don't know is this: send a copy of this announcement immediately. So you click that, and when I submit it, my students are going to say, hey, why is this going out? When I submit it and I go to my email, Right there is that announcement. So I know that if I've received it, my students have received it. And again, like I said, I've never once had a student come back to me saying, I'm not really sure what's due this week, Mrs. Reyes, because it gets sent to them in so many different formats and in so many different ways.